All right, so today we're going to be diving into the world of being a dating service consultant. We're prepping for an interview for this role. And to do that, we've got a whole stack of RoleCatcher resources, career guides, interview guides, even some AI tools to help us really tailor our answers. So that's our mission today, to get you prepped and ready to knock this interview out of the park.
It's a really fascinating field. I mean, you think about it, you're helping people navigate something that's so fundamental to the human experience.
Yeah, for sure. So with that in mind, maybe let's jump into what a dating service consultant actually does.
Yeah.
Because I think people have this kind of stereotypical image of just setting up dates, but it's so much more than that, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really a multifaceted role. They're providing personalized advice, helping people manage their online profiles, really understanding what each client is looking for in a partner, or it's almost like part, relationship coach, part like digital strategist.
Yeah, it's this really cool blend of the human touch and technology. And, speaking of technology, RoleCatcher's AI tools are something we'll definitely be diving into later. But first, let's get into some of those sample interview questions. Because knowing what to expect and how to answer is half the battle, right?
For sure, preparation is key. So let's start with a common one. Describe your experience in the dating industry.
Okay, so seems straightforward enough, but how do you make your answers stand out?
Yeah, you don't want to just list off previous jobs like a robot. Think about specific achievements, responsibilities. Maybe you have certifications or specialized training, anything that really shows you're passionate and knowledgeable.
So it's about going beyond just I worked here and I did this. It's more about the impact you made. What were the results of your efforts?
Exactly. Did you help clients find lasting love? Did you develop a unique matching system? Did you exceed expectations in any way? Those are the details that make you memorable.
It's like telling a story instead of just reciting facts. And I think that's what really captures an interviewer's attention, right?
Absolutely. They want to see your personality, your passion, your unique perspective.
Okay, so let's move on to another question that RoleCatcher highlighted. How do you stay up to date with current dating trends and technologies? Now, this is a fast-paced industry, so how do you show that you're on top of things?
Yeah, this is where you demonstrate that you're a lifelong learner. Mention industry publications, podcasts, webinars, online courses, anything that shows you're actively seeking knowledge.
Oh, what about following dating influencers or experts on social media? Does that count?
Absolutely. It shows you're engaged in the conversation, that you're curious about what's new and emerging.
So it's not just about formal learning. It's about being immersed in the world of dating.
Yeah.
Being part of the community and the dialogue.
Exactly. It's about showing that you're passionate and you're constantly evolving.
Okay, so we've talked about experience and staying current. Now let's get into a question that requires a little bit more finesse. How do you handle a client who is not satisfied with their match?
Ah, yes. This is a delicate one, but it's also a chance to showcase your empathy and problem-solving skills.
Because, let's face it, not every match has got to be perfect.
Of course not. So first, you want to acknowledge the client's disappointment and validate their feelings. Make it clear that you're there to help.
And then how do you actually address their concerns?
Well, you want to be solution-oriented. So maybe you offer a free consultation to dive deeper into their feedback, or suggest adjusting their matching criteria. You could even offer them a certain number of free matches.
So it's about turning a potentially negative situation into a positive one, showing that you're proactive and you genuinely care about their happiness.
Exactly. It's all about building trust and rapport.
Okay, so now let's tackle a question that's really important in today's world. How do you ensure your matchmaking services are inclusive and respectful of diverse backgrounds and identities?
This is a question that speaks to your values and your commitment to creating a welcoming environment for everyone.
So it's not just about saying, oh yeah, I'm inclusive. It's about backing it up with concrete actions, right?
Absolutely. Think about your policies, your training, your communication style. Do you have a diverse team of matchmakers? Do you offer training on cultural competency and sensitivity?
And what about the language you use in your marketing materials or on your website? Is it inclusive and representative of different backgrounds and identities?
All of those things matter. It's about showing that you've thought deeply about this issue and you're actively working to create a truly inclusive service.
And this is something that RoleCatcher really emphasizes in their guides. They highlight the importance of promoting human rights and respecting diverse identities.
It's about creating a space where everyone feels seen and valued.
Exactly. Okay, so we've covered some key questions about experience staying current, handling difficult situations, and inclusivity. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about the practical side of prepping for this interview. And this is where RoleCatcher's AI tools come in.
Oh yeah, these tools are a game changer. Their platform can actually analyze job descriptions and help you tailor your CV and cover letter to highlight the specific skills they're looking for.
Wow, so it's like having a personal career coach right in your pocket.
Pretty much. And it can even provide feedback on practice interview videos, analyzing your delivery, your tone, your body language, and offering suggestions for improvement.
That's amazing. It's like having a virtual mock interview, but with personalized feedback.
Exactly. It's all about helping you put your best foot forward.
I love that.
Mhm.
So we've got these amazing AI tools, but let's not forget about the human element. Like ultimately, this job is about connecting with people, right?
Absolutely. And that's something that no AI can replicate.
Okay, so let's get back to those interview questions and tackle a few more that really focus on the human side of this role.
Sounds good.
So here's one. What strategies do you use to build and maintain relationships with clients? Because it's more than just matching people, isn't it?
It is. It's about creating a supportive and trusting relationship. So you want to focus on active listening, empathy, clear communication. Those are the cornerstones of any strong client relationship.
And don't be afraid to share specific examples of how you go above and beyond. Like maybe you send personalized check-in messages or offer additional coaching or support.
Those details really show that you're invested in your client's success.
It's about showing that you're not just going through the motions, you're genuinely invested in their journey.
Exactly.
Okay, so another question that often comes up is, how do you measure the success of a matchmaking service? Now, this is interesting because it's not just about how many people get married, right?
Right. It's more nuanced than that. It's about understanding key performance indicators, or KPIs.
KPIs. Okay, so tell me more about that.
Well, you want to think about metrics like customer satisfaction rates, client retention rates, and of course the number of successful matches. But success can also be defined as clients feeling more confident, learning more about themselves, and developing healthier relationship patterns.
So it's not just about the end result, it's about the journey and the growth that happens along the way.
Exactly.
Okay, now let's get real for a second and talk about those tough situations. Because emotions run high in the dating world, right?
They do.
So how do you handle difficult or dissatisfied clients?
Well, first and foremost, you have to be a good listener. Even if you don't agree with the client, make them feel heard and understood.
It's about validating their feelings and showing that you take their feedback seriously.
Exactly. And then you want to outline the steps you would take to resolve the situation. Would you offer a refund or discount? Would you try to find them a new match? Would you have a conversation about their expectations and see if there's any misalignment?
It's about being solution-oriented and demonstrating a willingness to go the extra mile.
Right. And of course, remaining professional throughout the process is crucial. You don't want to get defensive or escalate the situation.
Absolutely. Now, this next question is super important in any field where you're dealing with sensitive information. How do you handle sensitive information and maintain client confidentiality?
Trust is everything in this industry. So this is your chance to highlight your understanding of privacy laws and your commitment to ethical practices.
Like, what are some specific things you would mention?
Well, you want to talk about using secure systems for storing data, obtaining informed consent before sharing any information, and limiting access to confidential client details.
So it's about showing that you take this responsibility seriously and you have systems in place to protect your client's privacy.
Absolutely.
Okay, now let's tackle a question that's all about efficiency. Because, let's be real, things can get pretty hectic in the world of online dating. So how do you handle a high volume of client requests or inquiries?
Organization and time management are key here. You want to highlight your ability to prioritize tasks, delegate effectively, and stay calm under pressure.
Are there any specific tools or strategies you use to stay on top of things?
Well, a CRM system is essential for managing client information and communication. And I also like to set aside specific times for responding to inquiries so I don't get bogged down throughout the day.
It's about having a system in place so you can be efficient without sacrificing quality or attention to detail.
Exactly.
Okay, now this last question requires a delicate touch because it deals with a potentially sensitive situation. How do you handle a client who is emotionally distressed or in crisis?
This is where your empathy and your ability to provide support while maintaining professional boundaries really come into play.
Because you're not a therapist, right? But you still want to be there for your clients.
Right, so you can offer a listening ear and guide them towards appropriate resources like mental health professionals or support groups.
It's about finding that balance between offering support and recognizing when a situation requires professional intervention.
Exactly. And remember, if you feel a client is in danger, you need to take appropriate action to ensure their safety. That might involve contacting emergency services or notifying a family member or friend.
Absolutely, safety always comes first. Well, I think we've done a pretty thorough job of covering those tough interview questions. And I have to say, I'm really impressed with how RoleCatcher's resources go beyond just the basics. They delve into the ethics, the nuances, the human side of this profession.
I agree. Their career guides are like a roadmap not just for acing the interview, but for building a successful and fulfilling career.
And their AI tools are like having a secret weapon, helping you tailor your application and practice your interview skills to perfection.
It's all about empowering you to be the best candidate you can be.
Okay, I think it's time to move on to part 2 of our deep dive, where we'll explore some of the broader aspects of the dating industry and what it means to be a dating service consultant in today's world.
It's interesting to think about how much the role of a dating service consultant has changed. Like, it's not just about matching people based on, basic criteria anymore. It's about understanding, like, the whole complexity of human connection in a world that's constantly changing, right?
Yeah, totally. And speaking of change, let's talk about a question that really gets at that. RoleCatcher suggests you're ready for this one. If you were designing a dating app, what features would you prioritize to foster genuine connections? So it's like putting you in the driver's seat. If you could create the ideal dating app, what would it look like?
I love that question. It really makes you think outside the box. Personally, I'd focus on features that go beyond just like, swiping on photos. Like, what about incorporating personality tests or questionnaires? Things that delve deeper into values, interests, lifestyle preferences.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. It's like instead of just seeing a pretty face, you're getting a glimpse into someone's soul, their passions, their dreams.
Exactly. And I'd also encourage more meaningful conversations. Like, what if the app prompted users with open-ended questions? Or provided icebreaker activities to spark genuine dialogue?
Oh, I like that. Instead of just the typical, hey, what's up?
Exactly. It's about getting people to really engage with each other on a deeper level.
Now, this isn't directly from the RoleCatcher materials, but it's something I've been thinking about. How would you address the issue of ghosting or the fear of rejection in a dating app?
That's a great point. Those are huge obstacles to forming genuine connections. Maybe the app could incorporate features that promote more accountability and transparency, like a way to signal when you're not interested in pursuing a conversation further, but doing it in a kind and respectful way.
Right. It's about creating a space where people feel safe to be vulnerable and honest, without fear of being ghosted or rejected.
Exactly.
Now, RoleCatcher's career guides highlight another important aspect of being a dating service consultant,
Yeah.
and that's staying ahead of the curve. So what are some ways you demonstrate that you're a lifelong learner in the dating industry?
Well, it's not enough to just be passionate. You have to be informed. So mentioning industry publications, podcasts, webinars, even books you've read about relationships, psychology, technology, all of that shows you're committed to continuous learning.
Which is like you're always expanding your knowledge and refining your skills.
Exactly.
Okay, now back to those interview questions. It's important to remember that even if you're thrown a curveball, a question you haven't prepared for, you can still impress the interviewer with your approach.
Oh, absolutely. Take a moment to gather your thoughts. You can even acknowledge that it's a new question for you, but then demonstrate your ability to think critically and apply your knowledge to a new situation.
Okay, so let's say they ask you this. How would you handle a client who is overly focused on physical appearance and disregards other important factors like compatibility?
Ooh, that's a tricky one. But I'd start by acknowledging the client's preferences, but then gently guide them towards a more holistic view of compatibility. Maybe say something like, it's great that you have a clear idea of what you find attractive, but let's also explore other factors that contribute to long-term happiness, like shared values, interests, communication styles.
It's about being respectful of their desires
Yeah.
while subtly expanding their perspective.
Right.
And this is where your expertise as a dating service consultant really shines. You're not just a matchmaker, you're a guide, helping people navigate the complexities of relationships.
Exactly.
Speaking of guidance, RoleCatcher's career guides offer some really cool insights into the different career stages within this field. Like, did you know you can start as the dating service assistant and work your way up to senior dating service consultant?
Oh, yeah. There's definitely room for growth and advancement in this industry.
Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about something that's not always explicitly addressed in interviews, but is incredibly important: ethical considerations. So how would you ensure your matchmaking practices are ethical and responsible?
That's a crucial question. and one that deserves careful consideration. It starts with transparency. Being upfront with clients about your process, your fees, your success rates is essential.
Right, and it's about avoiding any practices that could be misleading or manipulative. Like you wouldn't want to create fake profiles to boost your numbers. Or pressure clients into making decisions they're not comfortable with.
Absolutely not. Ethical matchmaking is about empowering clients to make informed choices, respecting their boundaries, and always acting in their best interests.
And it's about being mindful of potential biases, both conscious and unconscious. RoleCatcher's guides emphasize the importance of ongoing training and self-reflection to ensure that your matchmaking practices are fair and inclusive.
It's about constantly challenging yourself to be better, more aware, more sensitive to the needs of all clients.
Okay, before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, I want to touch on something that RoleCatcher emphasizes throughout their materials, the importance of passion. Why do you think passion is so crucial in this particular field?
I think it's simple. You're dealing with people's hearts, their hopes, their dreams. You can't approach that with anything less than genuine passion and a deep desire to help others find happiness.
It's about believing in the power of love and being genuinely invested in your clients' journeys.
Exactly.
Okay, I think we've covered a lot of ground here. We've explored the interview process, the career path, the ethical considerations, the importance of passion. But there's one more crucial element we need to address, the power of human connection. And that's what we'll be diving into in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay, so we've talked about the skills, the strategies, the tech tools, all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, this job is about something so much bigger.
It really is. It's about that fundamental human need to connect, to belong, to find someone who really gets us. Yeah, exactly. And that brings us to the final question that RoleCatcher suggests you ponder. If you were a client seeking a dating service, what would you look for in a consultant?
Ooh, I like that. It flips the script. Makes you think from the client's perspective.
Right, so put yourself in their shoes. What are you looking for?
Well, for me, trustworthiness is huge. I want to feel confident that this person has my best interests at heart, that they're not just, trying to make a quick buck.
It's about feeling safe and understood, right?
Absolutely. And I'd also want someone who's a good listener, someone who takes the time to really understand my needs, my values, my deal breakers, not just, trying to fit me into some pre-existing box.
It's about feeling seen and heard. They're really invested in finding you the right match.
Exactly. And of course, expertise matters too. I'd want someone who's knowledgeable about the dating landscape, someone who understands the nuances of different personalities and relationship dynamics.
It's like having a relationship coach in your corner.
Yeah, pretty much. And finally, I'd look for someone who's genuinely passionate about helping people find love. That passion is contagious. It makes the whole experience more enjoyable, more hopeful.
It's that spark that makes you believe that love is possible.
Exactly.
So as you're prepping for this interview, remember to embody those qualities yourself. Show the interviewer that you're trustworthy, empathetic, a good listener, knowledgeable, and most importantly, passionate about helping people find love.
Because at the end of the day, that's what this job is all about. It's about making a real difference in people's lives.
One connection at a time.
Well said.
So I think we've covered a ton of ground today. We've explored the interview process, the career path, the ethical considerations, the importance of passion, and of course, the power of human connection. It's been awesome diving deep with you.
Likewise.
And to all our listeners out there, good luck with your interview prep. Remember, use those RoleCatcher resources, practice your answers, and most importantly, go into that interview with confidence and authenticity. Until next time, keep diving deep.